Well, let's get this show on the road.
Mm-hmm.
Good evening and welcome to the Joust. My name is Nagy. I'm here as always with my co-host Liam McNeil. And Liam, what a wonderful way to kick off the week with another bloody win in the pocket.
Nagy, it's an excellent feeling. That's 1 month in a row now. 4 wins, one calendar month. We haven't had a loss. Isn't that excellent?
It's incredible to see. And look, there's so much to celebrate at the moment, and something also to really look forward to as far as excitement in the season is our favourite time of the year. I think it supersedes Christmas, Easter and all the rest. It's
with daylight to Christmas, Easter and all the rest, yeah.
It's Origin, and that because it brings out the nice competitive nature in all of us. Maybe if there was some more competitive nature to Christmas, like if every year it was, Jesus battling Satan or something like that, and you could take a side.
Hey, I like the idea. Yeah, teams at Christmas. We'll be forming teams this Christmas and battling it out to the death.
I think that would be the most appealing thing. But this year especially is going to be extra exciting because Liam and I, the Joust, will be there at the Commonwealth Hotel recording live. That's the 5th of June, probably there from about, I'd say, 6:30, recording our episode live from the Commonwealth Hotel right in the lead up to Origin, and then we'll be getting around and talking to all the punters. So make sure you're down there. Everyone's involved. It's going to be a fantastic
Everyone
evening.
is invited, and anyone who's been to our Origin events in the past know that the footy takes centre stage. It's all about Origin, but we'll be there as well.
It's a fantastic time, and I love it to spend it with everyone, but including you, Liam.
Especially you, Nagy. Especially.
Well, I might not say especially you, but your inclusion definitely benefits me. But
it's just nice to be included, to be honest.
Make sure you look out on Facebook for the event because it's going to be a fantastic night. The only place to watch Origin, the Commonwealth Hotel, the home of sport and the hunter. I'm not sure if that is their tagline, but it bloody well should be.
It should be. It's an excellent tagline for an excellent pub.
We've got to get jumped straight into this now, Liam.
Yes.
Again, another win on the board, 4 in a row. We haven't done it since 2015, but every time I sort of think that, I have a bit of an uncomfortable feeling in the stomach when I think 2015 was the last time, because that, if anything, that we were just teetering on the top of success, and then we just dove.
We dove right down in 2015, didn't we? Yeah,
Deep.
after a promising start, I seem to recall. Just went downhill.
Well, they were the first 4 games of 2015. Rick Stone had just taken over from Uncle Wayne, and he's not actually my uncle, but I think everyone...
He's old enough to be your great uncle.
Yeah, very well could be. The way this town works, I think everyone's sort of got a toe in each other's
That's it.
pond.
You visited Newcastle for 15 minutes, you found some cousins.
There's so it was... At the start, it was such an exciting time. Top of the table we were by round 4, and then I think we lost our next 8 games and sacked Rick Stone.
Yes. Oh, yeah. Was it 7 games or 8 games? I know it was a hell of a losing streak.
There.
Stoney didn't get much of a chance.
We only won 4 more after winning the first 4 in a row and got the spoon that year. 10 years after we got it in 2005.
You're not building up my confidence here, Nagy. We started so strong, and now we're just ruminating on prior spoons again.
That's different. I think this season's different because it speaks differently, because if we won our first 5 games under Brandy with a new team, I would have thought, oh, this is bloody well going fantastic. But, to have the dip, have those games where we couldn't wrestle the lead back, losing to Manly when they got off to a fly, losing to the Titans, I think was the wake-up call we needed. But losing to Saints by 2, but then reflecting that onto the last win against the Saints when we put 45 points on them.
45 points to 12, Nagy, is the end result of that game, and what a game it was. But as usual for a Knights fan, it wasn't until we were up 38 to 12 that I finally felt comfortable, and I was sitting there watching it with Brittany, and even she was stressing. She was saying, no, we still, we're not home safe yet, we're not home free yet. It was still a very stressful win, despite being what some would call a dominant victory. I was still, I think there's a certain level of PTSD that we as Knights fans have, that no matter how big the lead is, you still worry.
Yes.
You still have that fear that something could go wrong here. Something could go very, very wrong here.
It's like you think someone says to you during the game and says, I think we might actually win this, and then all of a sudden you hear it. and you hear one eye goes red and one eye goes blue, and then you just go back to all these times where we've thrown the lead away. And one of those games last year, or the year before, I think it was 2017 possibly, was against St George.
The very same team that we beat on the weekend.
It was 2017, and that's when we got off to a flight, I believe we were winning 24-0, 28-0, someone was saying to me. And Nathan Ross scored a hat-trick. It looked like we were scoring points at ease, and then they managed to come back with the likes of Josh Dugan came back and played all over us, and it was just one. I really didn't want that to happen again, but it didn't.
It didn't.
No, 28-0 at halftime, and then coming back and still managed to put on another crop of points. It was fantastic.
Yeah, which usually after half-time is kind of the night's worst period, but they were very good after half-time.
It was. It's really important that we focus on this time, because what the team's done by playing, I believe everyone's playing above expectation at the moment. Mind you, the expectation might be because we were losing. We lost 5 games in a row after round 1, but it's restoring a bit of pride and passion back in the jumper,
which is something that's been synonymous prior to the bad times, prior to the dark times. There was always so much pride and so much passion in the red and blue. There was a deep love of it from the players and the fans, and we may have gone away from that recently, but it's coming back. It's coming back very strongly.
In spades,
if you will.
I'm assuming that just means spades full.
I think,
like a spade, like
you're
dig.
shoveling.
Yes.
If you shovel earth, you're moving spades full.
I guess that has to be the reason. We might look up on that.
Well, we'll get Karen to have a look at that.
Karen will fax all of the jousters through what exactly that term means.
Yeah.
But it was such an important win, and then we've seen Mitchell Pearce play out of his skin. I've seen a few more comparisons to the way Joey plays and takes control of the game. Never looking really flustered, just always showing that urgency, and that urgency again got him another bloody try on the weekend.
Isn't he just in scintillating form? He scored that try. He had a hand in 4 of the night's other tries. He was just remarkable, and he took out the 3 Dally M points, and that's 4 games in a row. All 4 wins. Mitchell Pearce has got 3 Dally M points, and I think he's now up to second in the Dally M count.
Tied second, I think.
Tied for second, and it's just a remarkable turnaround, and it shows how important he is to the team, that his turnaround in form has seen us win 4 on the trot. Albeit they're not up against the top 4 sides. They're against some sides who are around the middle to lower end of the ladder, but still, they're wins. They're W's.
I think for anyone, even people with an easy draw, and I think we have had quite a favourable draw considering where everyone's ended up on the ladder, but it means so much to string 4 in a row, because we just haven't had it before. It's just never really happened with this sort of era of the Knights. So it's fantastic to see that without cursing them, and I might just be doing that
You
right
may
now,
well be.
but seeing the rebuild paying off.
It's paying off. And the thing that really buoyed my spirits, I know I said I was still nervous towards the back end of the game. It was probably the first 80-minute performance the Knights have put together all year.
Yeah.
Previously, in the last 3 wins, there was still, a 15-20-minute period where the Knights went to sleep, fell apart. Some people use the word capitulated in that game against the Bulldogs, and we were lucky to get away with the win.
What was that word, Liam?
Capitulated.
And that's our word of the week this week, guys, for all of you playing at home.
Thank you for playing along. That's our word of the week, capitulated.
Yes.
But yeah, no, an 80-minute performance where, there was no period. But, the Kurt Mann sin bin, the Dragons scored 2 tries, but...
Soft sin bin? Did anyone else think that as well?
Yes, it was a soft sin bin, but, repeated infringements, you can't really argue with it.
I've said it again. I said it before, and I'll say it again. When the refs start, when they've already given 3 penalties and they're on the line, if they're waiting to give the 4th and give the bin by that point, I don't think you could do much, because what I believe Kurt Mann was doing was just playing at the same ruck speed that was tolerable for the whole game before that. But the 3 penalties, suddenly they're just looking at it. They're just waiting to say, no, that's too slow. Go have 10. And that's the standard that they've been setting, and if that's the precedent they want to work off, so be it. But it definitely felt better that we had heaps of points on the board. If the game was neck and neck,
you're in trouble. Then all of a sudden you're in trouble.
7 penalties in a row the Dragons got in that period. So
hence the sin binning.
And there was a few people. Mike McKinnon basically was one of them that came out and said the refereeing in that game was terrible. I don't think the refereeing does not concede you 45 points.
No, absolutely not.
It was just a really strong game by a few key players, and everyone else just matched their enthusiasm. Mitchell Pearce, Kalen Ponga, scoring a double, could have got his first hat trick as well, only to be taken back off because Lachlan Fitzgibbon, good friend of the show,
dear friend of the show,
just had a mere finger on Tyson Frizzell.
He kind of waved at him on the way through.
He breathed down his neck, and Tyson said, "Oh, it's too much for me." But there was a little bit of what I'm not liking is when Tyson realised that there was a hand on him. About 9 meters away from Kalen, he was never going to cover that distance. But realizing that there was an opportunity to play in his team's favor, he threw the hands up and asked the world, what's it called, the world press? No, for the Golden Globe.
The Peanut Gallery.
No, he asked for the who do you thank at the Golden Globes? You thank the
managers?
No, okay.
You thank your friends and family?
No, you thank someone write into us and tell me what I'm trying to think of. Because
if anyone has any insight into what Nagy's saying right now, please let us know.
You thank the Academy during the Oscars, and you thank the foreign press.
The foreign press, maybe.
I don't know. We're going off on tangents here, Liam, but it's magnificent that. So there's a bit of theatrics going on, and Kalen did a similar thing when he was taking off the ball and decided just to continue to jump in the air and land on his side.
And it worked for us as well. So there's consistency there on those decisions. I thought Danny Levi was great again.
Another strong performance.
That spine's really starting to fire. Kurt Mann, had a serviceable game at 5'8". It was all kind of built around that spine on the back of Levi, Pearce, and Ponga, and that's 5 consecutive games Ponga scored a try in, and long may he continue doing so. 4
consecutive that Pearce scored a try, emulated that try that he scored against, I think, the Warriors, where it was just
chasing the ball
hard.
Effort plays are what Pearce does.
Fantastic for Edric Lee to set up in that full pace and put that perfect ball on the toe.
That's a hard kick to do when you're running as hard as he is. He had to kick with his
wrong foot?
Right. No, he kicked with his right boot off the outside of the boot infield. It was a tough kick, but he absolutely nailed it.
Those are the tries that I see scored against us and have scored against us for years. And
exactly.
I thought to myself, gee, I wish we could score a try like that one day. One day if we're good enough.
And we did. We're good enough now. But it was also a bit a win that was built on the back of really hard work from the back 5. We won the running meters battle, 1,675 meters to 1,163. And when you look through all the stats, all of the back 5 had over 100 running meters. So they really laid the platform well for the forwards to take it up and then create the space for Levi and Pearce and Ponga to work their magic.
Tackle effectiveness was high. I didn't check the exact stat, but I believe it was right across the board. I believe everyone was tackling strong. Gang tackling, we won the ruck, I think, for probably 80% of that game. It was fantastic to see. But look, it doesn't get any easier for us. Look, we better jump straight to who got the hats off for this week.
Hats off this week was Mitchell Pearce. He got 63% of the vote, split kind of across the Facebook and the Twitter. He had 1 try. The NRL website says he has 3 try assists, but I had a look and it was definitely 4. 4 try assists, 3 line break assists, and 427 kicking meters.
Yeah.
It was a hell of a performance. We keep, calling them Joey-esque performances, but it pretty much is what they are. A real leading by example, leading from the front kind of halfback performance.
I think we can start even I think we often forget when they're wearing the red and blue and they're playing with the number 7, it's sort of like, oh, that's Joey-esque. But in the same time, like Mitchell Pearce is such an accomplished halfback, he's really playing just a really solid Mitchell Pearce game.
That's it. We've got to start looking at it as Pearce-esque. Mitchell Pearce playing as his best self instead of comparing him to Andrew Johns, which is where Newcastle's gone so wrong in the past. Anyone who puts on that number 7 jersey has to immediately be compared to the greatest of all time.
Well, it's the same with if you're a slightly fair-haired leg spinner that comes into the Australian side, everyone's going to say, well, this is the next warning. We can all relax and go home. It's never going to happen, and we can. All we can do is just put the best team on the panic, which we seem to have done this week again.
Yes. Now there's no outs. Watson has been named to start at 6, and Kurt Mann will shuffle back to the bench. But whether or not they swap before kickoff, that remains to be seen. Which I believe is what they did against the Dragons, just a quick switcheroo before kickoff. But yeah, Watson has been named at number 6 to start again.
I think the team that they have on the park at the moment is, including Tautau Moga, I believe it's the best team available.
Absolutely. Heimel Hunt's been really very good in the last few weeks. So I think he's, doing well, keeping Tautau in reserve grade on his own merits, not through Tautau's injuries. I think, Heimel Hunt's really put his hand up for that centre spot to hold on to it.
When people have said, we've got Heimel coming into centre, he's probably a winger, and I thought the same. At the beginning of the season, I thought, well, let him just chill out there for a while. And hopefully when Tautau comes back. But I'm very happy with Heimel's performance.
Heimel's earned that jersey. He can hang on to it.
Whoop, just had a few audio problems there. Now, Liam, as we were saying, it doesn't get any easier for this game this week on the Friday night, the telly game.
If anything, I'd argue it gets harder now.
Yes, I think
as all good things in life should. As you improve, the challenges get harder, and we need to see it as that way. You don't want to be playing easy But there's no easy games in the NRL.
No.
We'll call them easy games. You don't want to be playing these easy games forever. You want to compare yourself to the best in the comp, and about the best in the comp at the moment, with the exception of last weekend against the Broncos, are the Roosters. Now, they've won eight games this year. My apologies.
That's right.
And only the 2 losses, but they're coming off the back of that really very hard-fought 15-10 loss against Brisbane, so they might have a bit of bounce back in them.
I'm a little bit worried about that too. And Cooper Cronk announcing his retirement, which we'll cover in the news. I'm really worried about a player like that. Once they've just had this illustrious career, and then they've decided, I've got 16 games left in me. They really sometimes put the foot down, and
they're going to be 16 bloody good footy games he's got coming up.
You would think so. You'd think the body's probably carrying a lot of injuries, and he just thinks, I can see the light at the end of the tunnel now, and I'm just going to play right through. So that's very concerning. But we have them at home. We got them on the telly. We've moved up from the graveyard. We're television material now.
Isn't it nice being television material? We can get ourselves all dolled up and go out on the TV and be on NBN again.
It'd be fantastic to be a part of it. It's going to be, not that we're going to be on television, but it's going to be like we're on television.
It's for the best that we're not on television, probably, Nagy.
We have faces for radio and bodies for radio.
Bodies for radio.
A lot of people,
personalities for radio as well.
A lot of people don't usually include that, but the Roosters are definitely setting very high benchmark. We got the Storm after that, and then we got the Rabbits as well somewhere in the mix.
Look, it's a bit of a nightmare run the next 3 games for the Knights, but again, it'll give us a very, very good idea of where exactly the team is at, because the last few wins have really built up the spirits, but now this will give us the true test. I think
it's the only way that the teams are going to suddenly accept us as actually being like a real force in the comp. I know that there's a time where we can win 4 games in a row, and then people then quickly say, "Oh, well, it was against the Warriors, it was the Bulldogs, and it was against," but it's like
in that exact voice too.
Yeah, that's the condescending voice.
Yeah,
but it was. But what we need to do is really show the NRL that we're a finals push now. We're sitting at 6th. Tied with a lot of teams. We could be at 9th, but our forward against is good, and that just shows how strong the last few games has been. We're playing really good football. We're scoring lots of points, and that was really evident against the Dragons, because even though they didn't have a lot of point scorers, we made Ben Hunt's day an absolute nightmare.
Oh God, didn't we?
No pun intended with the nightmare there. I don't work for the Daily Telegraph. I do remember one time when it's happened a lot of the times with the Daily Telegraph, when the Bulldogs win and their favourite go-to is just "Who let the dogs out?"
Well, it was a very popular song, but 20 years ago, they're still digging the well.
The Baha Man.
The Baha Man.
I wonder if they get any sort of royalties from that.
Oh, they'd be getting a lot of royalties, I imagine.
It's going to be such a tricky game, to take on the Roosters. Latrell Mitchell is playing career best form, but then you just throw in the likes of Luke Keary, Cooper Cronk, Keary playing for an origin position as well,
and a couple of their unheralded forwards. Siwa Takiaho's having a wonderful season for them.
Can you just say that one more time?
I can. Siwa Takiaho. I've been practicing that one.
Excellent.
And Isaac Liu as well. 2 fairly unheralded forwards as far as forwards in the NRL go, but they're 2 of the better forwards getting around, and they're in great form for the Roosters. So they'll be a big worry. We'll have to contain them, because it all starts with their forwards, I think, for the Roosters.
And it's going to be a really tough game. And when I say Luke Keary's pushing for an origin spot, it's really Mitchell Pearce is pushing for an origin spot as well, and he's probably him and Cody Walker and Adam Reynolds will be the informed halves of the comp. Luke Keary as well. So this is a really it's a bit of a battleground to see who's going to be representing the state. Now I know there's lots of people that like to say, "Oh, Mitchell Pearce," and you can't win a series, but in Mitchell Pearce's defence, and I've said this before, in 2017, last time he played 3 games, and he had 2 really solid games in Game 1 and Game 2. There wasn't anything wrong with his games in Game 1 and Game 2, but we didn't come away with a series win. If we had, and we were this close, if we had have come through and won that second game with the lead that he provided, he scored 2 tries in the first 2 games. It would have been remembered as, he's redeemed it. He's redeemed himself.
He's redempted.
He's redempted. English is not my strong suit.
That's not our word of the week, ladies and gentlemen.
Redempted. We can don't look that one up. It's not there. It's not in any dictionary. But
I think you're right. If they win that, if they don't concede that final try in Game 2 of Origin 2017, Mitchell Pearce looks like a hero and is redeemed for all of his Origin misgivings.
Redempted.
Sorry, he's redempted.
Yeah.
But yeah, no, I don't think Mitchell Pearce should get selected for Origin. I think he's past that.
Get out. No. I think, look, I don't want him to be selected. He's 30 years old. He's also, he's playing, career best for the Knights. He's playing career best football. His whole time with the Knights. So you think, keep him here, keep him safe. Same with Kalen Ponga. Now, this is moving into a very interesting time, which we used to suffer a lot, and we haven't suffered for many years, is that when Origin comes along, we lose all our good players.
We're going to be missing a few this year, which, like you said, very, very strange feeling.
And we have to think, like, I think it's good that we've got a good, obviously David Clemmer, who didn't even get mentioned in times when we're talking about how good everyone's playing, is in such a career best form again, and he doesn't even get mentioned because of he's just quietly doing his absolute best up front.
He's such a quiet achiever, isn't he? But he keeps churning out those meters. He ran for, I think, 151 meters on the weekend, which feels like a quiet game, but compared to other NRL forwards, that's just remarkable. And, I think Clemmer's a lock. He's got to be one of the first people picked. He's an absolute lock to play Origin. We're going to lose Kalen Ponga as well. Potentially Mitchell Pearce, like you said. Love to be talking about Jesse Ramian in the mix as well with the problems that the Knights are having. And this week's going to be a good audition for Jesse Ramian with Latrell, I believe, playing left centre and Ramian playing right centre. They will be up against each other.
It's going to be the only way that I think that Jesse Ramian makes his way into the side is a really good showing on a Friday night on the telly game. It's time for the news. What have we got the news this week, Liam?
Time for the news. Now, we're starting with a big one this week. Now, this is the retirement of a legend has happened about 4 or 5 times in the last 2 seasons, but this time it's the turn of Cooper Cronk to announce his retirement at the end of season 2019. Cooper's played 357 club games. He surpassed Terry Lamb to be second on the list of all-time games played. 22 Origins, 38 Tests, and he won grand finals in 2007, 2009, 2012, 2017 and 2018. Now, obviously, 07 and 09 was stripped, but that's still a hell of an achievement. He's the only player to win back-to-back premierships since that 92-93 Brisbane side.
Insane stats when you look at it. And even like with the 2 grand finals taken off him, he at the moment, like as it stands, he played in 8 grand finals.
That is quite a remarkable stat.
8, and then you take the 2 off him, it's like still 6.
And such a good role model and such a good, billboard for the game. I think.
Well, he's kept his nose clean. His very broken nose.
It's a disgusting nose. It'd take an hour every day to keep that thing clean.
It looks constantly like he's just walked into a glass wall and it's just smeared to one side.
And it's a real shame because besides the nose, he's such a handsome guy.
Attractive man.
He's got some very strikingly beautiful characteristics.
Strong jawline.
Beautiful jawline. So it's just a shame that his nose is all
over the place.
Akimbo. It's all akimbo. But Cooper Cronk will be missed when he retires. I obviously have a strained relationship with Cooper because of what he's done to New South Wales so many times in State of Origin. But he's one of the good guys of rugby league who the game is genuinely going to miss. And I think if he moves into the media, he's born for it. He's a natural.
100%.
So I think we'll be seeing a lot more of Cooper Cronk. And I think rugby league's the better for it. And rugby league's the better for having Cooper Cronk in the game. So Cooper, good friend of the show. We know he listens every week. Cooper, you've had a good innings, mate, but you're done.
But also, please just this weekend, just sort of take your foot off the gas. Maybe
that's it. Hopefully he's on holiday already.
Hopefully, fingers crossed. What else we got, Liam?
Next in the news, from one legend to another, Paul Gallen has now equalled the record for most losses by a player in NRL history.
Now, this is someone that's brought us great joy in the Origin arena.
Well, one time.
Well, that's
joy.
Now that was great joy. That particular time. But now that we've won another one, 4 years later, we can forget about him because he's a bit of a thug. He's one of these guys that you just think. Because since he retired from Origin, you start looking at him not as the Origin captain anymore, and you just think, I don't actually like this guy anymore.
I've still got a soft spot for him. I always loved him in Origin, in the Origin arena. I think my profile photo on Twitter is still him punching Nate Miles.
Well, that was nice to see.
That was very nice.
But at the same time, you just, it couldn't have happened to a more unpleasant person.
Yes, and but he's taken the record from Scott Prince, who was a very likeable bloke. So I think Scott will be very happy about that. He doesn't hold that record anymore. So yeah, one legend to another. Very different sides of the same coin. Also in the news, James Maloney has taken the early guilty plea. He'll miss one game for a late hit, which it seems like James Maloney's having a season to forget along with the rest of the Panthers. So I think a week off will be good for him.
There's talks of he's already booked his ticket overseas. That he's already planning to fly the coop.
Go to the English Super League.
Over to the English Super League. So it's going to be interesting to see if he does secure a deal over there. Is his heart still with the Panthers? I think he's a hyper competitive guy, and I think he will still always play his best. But my God, Penrith, the only wins coming, as Barry said, he was here. Barry was here 4 weeks ago, and he was still saying that the only wins was against us and the Tigers. Both games they sort of came back and wrestled the lead very last minute. So it's going to be interesting to see whether that's it's any reflective of his performance going into the season, or be able to take the Penrith side back to competitiveness.
To drag them up by their bootstraps. Now, last item in the news. This one's about the Jack de Belin case. Jack de Belin lost his court case to have the no-fault stand-down overturned. Now, Paul McGregor had actually hoped that decision would be made on Friday to allow de Belin to play, and he could have played against the Knights, but obviously that's been overturned, so Jack de Belin will now be stood down from the NRL until his court case is completed, which, again, we've ummed and ahed on this no-fault stand-down. I'm in favour of it. I think it's a good policy and one the NRL needs to make. But that's caused a lot of discussion.
It's better that it runs through the courts, like the criminal courts, and not that he gets back in because he reverses the NRL decision. I feel like his biggest thing would be if the criminal court finds him innocent, and then suddenly there's no one can come back and say, oh, but you did this. It's like no, I've been cleared. If he comes back now, he's got this kangaroo court of thousands of people, and one of them will be me. So it's not fair on him to get him back early, and I feel like whether you're for or against the compulsory stand down, I think it could be something that could be reviewed later on the season. The fact that there's just so many, like Dylan Walker got off criminally, and then that's it. There's no more talk about it. He could come back and say like, oh, I've put the team at loss and I've lost marketability as a player, blah blah blah. But he could also say now my name has been cleared. Jack de Belin wouldn't have that opportunity if he was allowed to play.
That's
on
it.
Friday.
It wouldn't feel right, kind of cheering for someone while they're a pending court case for aggravated sexual assault. So I think it's a good thing that the challenge was stood down. But do you know what time it is now, Nagy?
Is it time for time to open your sack, Liam?
It certainly is.
If I'm going to find it, there it is. I couldn't find this. Sometimes you scrummage around down there and you just can't find the zipper.
Look, there's a lot going on down there, so it's hard to find.
Or the cord.
Or the cord.
I don't know what...
I use an extension cord for a belt. Now, in the sack, first of all, we have from Billy Bennett. Billy Bennett says, 3 out of the last 4 victories were against the bottom 3 teams on the NRL power rankings. With the next 4 games against the Roosters, the Bunnies, the Storm and the Broncos, can the Knights pick up any wins over this period?
It's the time that we've been preparing for ourselves to play an NRL powerhouse. Our team's confident. We've got the full strength side in. 2 of those weeks are going to be during Origin period as well, and then players might be in and out or injured or things like that. So it's going to be interesting to see, who comes in. So we can't guarantee anything during Origin period because it's a bit of a wildly time for all NRL teams that, including people that don't have, teams like the Titans who probably won't have anyone playing for Origin.
Jai Arrow, true. Jai Arrow for sure.
Yeah, actually, and who's the other prop?
Jared Wallace.
So maybe they will. I don't know. Maybe every team has someone missing. But it's just an interesting time because no one's playing at full strength, and so it really warps the results. But I feel that we've been preparing to play a team like the Roosters now. It's good just to be playing full of confidence and to be able to score points and having lots of players scoring tries.
That's it. I'd be over the moon if we could win 2 of those 4. If we could win 2 of those 4 and maybe push for close losses in 2 more of them, that doesn't affect our points for and against, the points differential too much. I think that's a very good result over the next 4 games because the Broncos have hit form. They just knocked off the Roosters, who are, one of the form teams of the comp, so they'll be a toughie. But I think if we can win 2 out of 4 and maybe 2 close losses in that span, that's a very, very good result.
Hell, even 1 out of the 4 would be nice.
1 out of 4 would be lovely. But as long as if we are losing these games, they need to be close losses. We can't be taking big hits to our points differential that the Knights have in the past. And I think the defence this year has improved so that we're seeing that we don't have a large negative differential,
Yes.
which is not like the Knights of the last few years.
No.
Okay, next question. Cody Somerville. With Ponga and Pearce potentially being in Origin selection, who will fill the void of these roles whilst they are away on Origin duty?
You have to look to players like Mason Lino to step up. You have to even look to players like, to come back in the fullback roles can be interesting to fill. You think Connor Watson would drop back to fullback, so that leaves two positions in the halves. So do you see Kurt Mann with Mason Lino?
You could always use Tex Hoy. He's a young up and comer coming through the ranks. Tex Hoy, good fullback, son of Newcastle surfing legend Matt Hoy. He could, I think, very ably fill in at the back.
Tex, son of Matt.
Tex, son of Matt.
Yeah, well, interesting to see. Look, it's a time that the team's going to be shaken up, and whether that happens through injury or Origin commitment. But look, what I would really like if Connor drops back, you'd think Mason Lino would go in with Mitchell Pearce. I think you just got to keep Mitchell Pearce or someone that's got a lot of structure around the ruck. So whoever can provide that. So it's going to be an interesting time.
It's going to be an interesting time. And again, not something we've experienced recently.
Before.
I think there was a few years where Dane Gagai was the only one who was even, on the radar of the Origin selectors.
For a long time there.
It's a strange feeling. Justin Guillon asks, with Kurt Mann showing how well he can handle starting as a 5/8 in the game on the weekend, where does this leave Brownie with the decision of where to put Watson? Do you guys see Connor as a 5/8 or is he better off the bench?
Connor's my 5/8. In my mind, you start him there and then you can move him around. I like Kurt Mann on the bench, as I said before. It's just nice to have that flexibility of someone that can fill in anywhere.
I've got to agree. I think Connor Watson has to start, and at 5/8 is good. But yeah, moving around, that's why it's good to have Mann in the 14, because obviously Connor scored that try passed it from hooker to Mitch Barnett and then backed up off Barnett's offload there. Yeah. But yeah, I think Connor Watson is our 5/8 moving forward.
Sniffing around the ruck.
Yeah, just sniffing and taking opportunities. And he's got a great running game. So tired defences up against Connor Watson's running game late in the game. Brilliant. Absolutely brilliant. Brent Hampton asks how much to keep Ponga for life.
Yes, it's going to be an interesting thing because this is how I see it happening. Cooper Cronk retires at the end of the season. They don't make any huge signings immediately. People start talking about how Ponga's only got next year and the year after left on his contract, and then immediately say that the Roosters will be signing Kalen Ponga. This is just how the media works because it's all speculative dribble. They will say Kalen Ponga is the best player in the game at the moment, and then they'll say, oh, well, how about we just sign him to the Roosters? We'll just link him to the Roosters, and then we'll watch the outrage happen, because the outrage is as good as truth anyway. It's how the Daily Telegraph...
outrage sells papers.
The Daily Telegraph has operated like this for decades. It's you just get people angry and people buy the paper or click on the article. But I'm confident that Kalen Ponga will see out his contract, and before the end of his contract, we'll get a good indication whether he's going to stay or not.
Look, I say you put a check in front of him, you leave the amount blank, and you just say whatever you want to put on there, just put it there.
Take my wife, please. Take her.
So yeah, I think how much to keep Ponga for life, however much he needs, whatever he asks for.
It's in the end, he's $1 million player. He's $1 million plus. And look, I don't feel like he's the kind of guy that would go to a Sydney club for an extra, $200,000. I feel like
he loves Newcastle.
Well, this is the thing. He does love Newcastle, but also he's one of these players that's just a freak. He could play union, and apparently he plays off under 10 in golf. He's just one of these guys that are fortunately very good.
It was under 13's New Zealand champion in golf.
If you took him camping, he would be able to put the 10 up really, really quick.
Without the instructions.
He's thrown them away.
He light the fire.
Yeah,
keep the fire stoked all night.
He could do that with the stick.
Yeah.
That's with the stick. That's not some other technique that we've been working on here. But
sorry.
We'll move on.
We'll move on.
Quickly.
Seamus Kelly asks, and I like this question, actually. It's a very good question. Why isn't there a corner post on the 20-metre line to adjudicate 40-20s? Will it have to take a major controversy in a final or state of origin for this to be introduced, as 40-20s can be game changers?
I like it.
I love it. I think it's a great idea, Seamus, and you should be taking royalties for it.
That's not bad from you, Seamus, because he says a lot of dribble sometimes.
Slap a patent on it, Seamus, and you'll be a millionaire within the season. And last but not least, The Knighted, one of our new favourite accounts on Facebook.
Yes.
Violet Crumble or Crunchy?
It's like I read this question with some intrigue. And that's because I don't think I've ever purchased a Violet Crumble that hasn't already been crumbling in the bag.
That's why it's called Violet Crumble.
But I know, but they should at least keep it stick.
You think they should keep it in stick form until you've opened it?
I think Look, they both got that. Do you know what they describe the stuff on the inside? The stuff that's sort
Honeycomb.
Well, they call it hokey pokey honeycomb, I believe. It's if you read the.
Is that because they're legally not allowed to call it honeycomb?
Possibly.
Okay.
Possibly. It's you're not sure when you're eating one if it's deteriorating, like dissolving, or it's your teeth dissolving. But at the same time, it's like you wouldn't buy one, but if there was one for free, you'd probably have it.
And I've had plenty of free ones in my time, but I don't think I've had one recently enough to make a decision. I will tell you though that my dad's rugby team he used to play for, they were called the Violet Crumbles because their jersey was that bright honeycomb yellow with a purple stripe down the sleeve and purple numbers. It was a very striking jersey. I had a few of them in my youth.
You've just sold
that
me.
Dad's playing jerseys.
You sold me. I'm going to go to the Violet Crumble on that one.
Yeah, I think
is that
Violet
Nestle?
Crumble.
Nestle Violet Crumble?
I don't know.
And then Cadbury.
Look, I'd take either though. I'd take either.
Either of the large chocolate distributors. Also, Liam, do you know what's happening this week? Something quite exciting is happening this week.
What's happening this week, Nagy?
We've got certain someone returning back to television.
Who, pray tell, is returning to television? And will it be with Channel 9?
It is with Channel 9, and you won't believe who it is. It's Daryl Somers.
Daryl Somers is returning to Channel 9.
Very exciting show.
What's Daryl up to this year?
Well, all these things now. No one likes these reality TV shows that
I'm
he's been
sick of them.
pumping out. But what he's doing now is a more in-depth drama. 55-minute.
Oh.
And he's in England.
Oh.
And he's a detective.
Huh.
And there's all these killings that have been going on in all these small towns. You wouldn't believe what they've called it.
What have they called it?
Midsummer's Murders.
Midsummer's Murders, starring Daryl Somers. Coming to Channel 9 this year.
It's going to be a brilliant show. I can't wait to watch it.
I'm really looking forward to it. Really, it might have a Murray's 262. In fact, while I sit and watch it.
Look, I think it's really matched for that. A lot of people like to match up the beers with a meal, but I think watching Daryl Somers and drinking a 262 is just bloody unreal. But
Perfect.
Liam, what have we got at the lower grades? Exciting game for you, especially coming up as the curtain raiser for the Knights.
Now,
game.
my two childhood loves. This is going to be a tough one for me. In Reggie's next week, we have Newcastle Knights versus the North Sydney Bears. Now, as some of the fans will know, I was a Bears fan growing up, as my dad was from North Sydney. He played in the North Sydney Juniors, played with Des Hasler in the halves in the North Sydney Juniors. So growing up, I was always a Bears fan. But as we became closer to Newcastle and moved into Newcastle, I obviously sold my heart and soul to the Knights, but still hold a special place for the Bears. So this is going to be a toughie for me to watch. But regardless of the result, I'll be happy. I'm not confident, though, because reserve grade did lose 32-6 to the Dragons last week. And Jersey Flag have just come off a bye, and they're having another bye. There's 2 bye rounds in Jersey Flag that have just
back
gone
to
on.
back?
Back to back.
For everyone?
For everyone, all the teams. So, not much going on in the lower grades at the moment.
That's all right. That's not a bad thing. Please head down to the game if you like, to check out the reserve grade to take on the Bears, the Mighty Bears.
The Mighty Bears.
Every year they might be back in the NRL, so, it's a good thing to keep an eye on.
Any time now. We're counting down the seconds.
Any minute now.
Now, don't forget, Nagy, if you do want to catch a courtesy bus to the game, where can we get that?
I think the best courtesy bus in town is the Commonwealth Hotel.
Excellent.
You've got to be at the Commonwealth Hotel. Just let them know. They'll let you know that the courtesy bus is leaving. Sometimes they do a couple of trips and just say, yo, I'd like to be on that. It's free. It's courtesy of the venue.
They should get Kurt Gidley driving that. Kurt's courtesy bus.
Oh, maybe they could. That could be something.
Yeah.
It's a bloody
We'll put that to Kurt.
It's a bloody good courtesy bus. Make sure you're down there at Origin time, guys, at the Commonwealth Hotel. Come down and see us. We'll be recording live, and you can get your mug on the telly or on the internet telly.
Bring your Joust mug along, and you can get your mug and your mug on the telly.
Both mugs. It's going to be a fantastic time, guys.
That's what they call us, the 2 mugs.
The 2 mugs. If you like us, you can find us on Facebook. You can find us on YouTube, Instagram, Twitter. Please like us. SoundCloud. All those pipes. Just like. If you do like us. If you don't, maybe you can watch something else. There's lots of variety out there for...
Just don't tell us if you don't like us.
It affects us so heavily. Hopefully we'll come back with a win from the Roosters. Thank you for joining me again, Liam, and we'll see you all next week. Thanks, guys.